Hey everybody, this is Zach Comer, owner of Asheville Medical Massage. And in this interview, I'm excited to have with me one of my colleagues from the office, Jeffrey Rich. Jeffrey has been a body worker and medical massage practitioner since 1999, and almost that entire time he's been studying and learning about acupressure. And in today's video, Jeffrey's going to tell us a little bit about what acupressure is, how it can benefit us, and some specific techniques that are specific for calming and strengthening. We felt like this would be a great bit of information we can pass along to you guys at home while we're all on some level of quarantine during the coronavirus pandemic right now. And this is also part of the support that we're trying to get out to you for those of you that are participating in our 21-day New You Challenge, which is all about helping you find new practices and habits to do at home to hopefully come through this difficult time when we get back to normal life, feeling even stronger and healthier than you went into it. So with that being said, thanks for joining me, Jeffrey.
Hey, Zach, thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about acupressure?
Yes, it is. It came out of China, and acupressure is a system of points and also channels that the Chinese have been mapping for about 5,000 years. And each of these points and channels regulates the body's energy and emotion in some way. And we can access these points with our fingers or needles. I don't use needles, I use fingers, to help harmonize energy and to move into a different state. And so today I'm going to show you some very simple points for both strengthening your system and also helping promote calm. And there are several hundred points in the body. We're just going to look at a few that are easy to find. And I hope I can show them to you in an easy way on the video.
Okay, great. Can I ask you a quick question? How is
Sure.
acupressure versus acupuncture? Are these the same points that an acupuncturist might use and with
Same
needles?
points and same theory. The
Okay.
difference in an acupressure acupressure session is that you just have two hands.
Okay.
So at most, I'm holding 2 points at a time, whereas an acupuncturist uses several needles in the body,
Okay.
and then they let you sit for a while and they come back and they do a little test and see how's it going. For
Right.
me, I'm assessing as I'm holding points and I go.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
a little different, but it's the same points and the same theory.
Okay. Great.
Yeah. So the first points are 2 points that you'll find on near your wrist. And I'm see if I can show this to you very clearly. So we're going to use 2 fingers. All acupoints are measured by what they call body inches. And so we use your body to find the points. And so for me, I'm going to bend my wrist a little bit like this. And so I'm going to slide my fingers up into that where my wrist is bent. This is called the wrist crease.
Mm-hmm.
And about 2 fingers down in the middle of my arm. So that would be right about here. There's a perfect little place for your finger to go. And then on the opposite side of the wrist, there's another perfect little place for a finger to go.
So when you
Doesn't
say
matter which,
perfect little place, we're basically just where if you can feel the bone on either side there, we're kind of in that place between the two bones of the forearm, right?
yes, we are right in a hollow between the 2 bones. And I can turn it this way so you can see I'm sort of right in the middle of my arm. And I'm right in the middle of my arm here. There's like a little hole,
Okay.
and there's a little hole here.
Okay.
So we're going to put medium pressure on these points. You may feel that they feel tender. For some people, they feel really good to hold. Here, I'll put my arm this way. And we're just going to hold them for about a minute, minute and a half. So these 2 points are what's called the master points for 2 extraordinary meridians. And in acupuncture and acupressure, you probably know about the 12 organ meridians. That's what a lot of acupuncturists use. In addition to the 12 organ meridians, there are 8 extraordinary meridians. And there are also another set of flows called the tendinomuscular meridians. So these are the extraordinary meridians, which the points are also on the normal organ meridians, but they also control these reserve energy flows. So these are two master points for what is in English called the great regulator. And it's a flow that really regulates all of the body energy. So as you continue to hold these points, you may feel something happening under your fingers. You may feel that they soften or that your fingers really let you get in there. Maybe the sensation is changing. So I'm going to switch sides and show you how to find these points again. So again, I'm going to bend my wrist. I'm going to use two fingers, and I'm going to go slide my fingers up to where my wrist kind of bends. And so two fingers from the crease up here to the middle of my arm where the bones meet, or in between the bones. And then on the opposite side are these two perfect little holes, okay, where my fingers can rest in.
Great.
Most of my clients say, yeah, that feels really good for you to hold that point.
Mm-hmm.
And
And I
like I
noticed
say,
that you flipped your middle finger from being on the bottom to find the spot to being on the top, and you put your thumb on the underside there. So you can go either way. You can have
oh yeah. And I did
your
that just so I
hand
could show,
top or bottom or
yeah,
finger.
just so I could demonstrate where the points are.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter which finger goes on that point. You can use your first finger if that's better. Your fourth finger, it really doesn't matter.
it's interesting.
Our,
My right arm when I did this, it wasn't really tender at all, but it's noticeably tender in my left arm.
oh yeah. Hmm. Yeah,
Both
sometimes
points.
there's a difference from the right side to the left side. And
Mm-hmm.
that may have to do with the way that the flows are on the right or the left. These flows are front and back, top and bottom, right and left. And sometimes if we're right-handed or if we're left-handed, we meet the challenges of the world in one way with one hand and one way with the other hand. And there are flows that address the right-left imbalance too. We're just looking at general balancing. So I just hold these with a medium pressure. You can sort of see my fingernails a little white here. I'm not really pressing in too hard, but just sort of medium pressure. And this point on the top, in addition to being on that strange flow, this is on what's called the triple warmer meridian. This point in particular is a go-to point for flu and flu-like symptoms as well. So that's one of the reasons we're showing it today. So I generally hold these points between 1 and 3 minutes at a time.
And do you
And
do
generally,
both arms? If you do your right, should you do your left, or you do one or
I
the
would
other?
definitely do both sides. If you do
Okay.
one, do the other, and you can probably see the little dots where my fingers have been,
Mm-hmm.
and the little red dots.
Yeah.
Right there, again, that's about almost exactly 2 fingers down. See when I bend my wrist that my finger slides right into that little red
Mm-hmm.
dot.
Right.
That makes it easy to find.
Okay. Great.
So the next 2 points that I'm going to show you are on all the next points I'm going to show you are on a line that goes right down the middle of your body. There are two flows. One goes up and over the body all the way down to where you're in the perineum, where your legs meet. And this one goes down from the tongue, actually down your body this way to where into the perineum. These are called the central channels. And the central channels are considered to be great reservoirs of body energy. So we want to harmonize that and really allow those things to come into harmony. These are easy to find. So the first one is, I'm going to take one finger, doesn't matter which one. I'm going to find the spot on my forehead between my eyebrows, right here.
Right where my unibrow is.
Yep. This point is called yin tang. And it is really said, you'll probably, if you wiggle your finger a little bit, you can feel there's like a little valley right there.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yep. And so you want to kind of slide down to where there's like a little shelf at the bottom of the valley. And that's where that point is. This is great for calming the spirit. So with my other hand, all I'm going to do is put it in the back and cradle the back of my head, the back of my skull.
Like this?
Exactly. There's another big set of points back there. And if we use our whole hand, we can access several points at once. And again, this is harmonizing these points in particular. This point is helping calm the spirit, and this point in the back is helping to harmonize this central channel. And again, we hold this for about 1 minute to 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You're not going to hurt yourself if you hold them more or less. But a good rule of thumb is about 1 minute.
Is there an advantage to doing it for 3 minutes versus one?
Well, I would just say for now, do it until it feels about right. Sometimes when I'm watching TV, I'll sit and hold these points. You know, if I'm feeling like I need a little boost, I'll just sit and hold those for 5 minutes or so each hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I might hit some other points. So good, we're on our way. So the next set of points, I'm going to find a point at the top of my head. And if you draw a line straight up from your ear to the top of your head, what I do is I use 3 fingers to make sure I kind of get it. And if you separate your fingers a little bit, they'll fall into, again, these natural little depressions in the bones. Little
Okay.
holes in my head, as we said earlier.
Find the holes in your head. So
hmm
everybody else knew they were there, that you had holes in your head.
Oh, yeah.
You just didn't know.
And so then I'm going to, so the point at the top of the head is called 100 meeting point. And they say that this point influences all of the meridians in the body.
Mm.
And they say that of the central channel too, that all of the meridians are influenced by what we do on the central channel. So central channel work is very powerful, it's very subtle, but it influences everything about the body.
Mm.
So I'm going to add a point right here under my lip. Again, there's a little hollow. So we're just going to hold these, the ones on top of my head, you can sort of see. And this point right under your lip, there's, again, a natural little hollow. Most of these
Is it like
points,
below my teeth? Like if I press right behind my lip, I feel my teeth. Is it down slightly below
a little
that?
bit below.
Below my,
Yeah,
like
there's like a
pressing into
natural
my
little,
gum a
this little
little bit?
place, yep, just a place where your finger just wants to kind of go.
Oh, okay. I
And
feel
the
it.
great thing about using fingers is that if you're off a little bit, you're still pretty close.
Okay.
And our fingers are big enough that they affect the point no matter how close or how far away we are.
Okay.
And you might feel, again, some softening or something happening as you hold these points. Sometimes it feels like they're turning into mud or they're opening a little bit, or you might just feel more relaxed, or you might not feel anything. I know it looks like paint drying on it, but it feels good. So good, great. So the last 2 sets of points we're going to hold, I know this is a lot of points to find, but you've got a video to look back on, which is nice. First one, we're going to use our finger. The pressure is going to be straight down. It's not going to be in toward your throat. It's going to be straight down. We're going to find the place between our collarbones. I'm not so skinny, so it doesn't show up very well on me, but I'm looking in that little hollow. There's a little divot right here where the collarbones meet. And so the pressure goes straight down onto the top of your breastbone. And then we're going to pair that with, again, I'm going to use 3 fingers. I'm going to go follow the line of my spine. And there's usually a big bump at the base of your neck. And in between the vertebrae, there are little holes. There are just little places for your fingers to rest. And the one in the back, the English name, well, the Chinese name also, translates to big hammer. And they call it this because it has such an effect.
Hmm.
And this point in the front has a similar name. And you may feel a lot happening when you're holding these points, big hammer and this one in the front. These two places they're on the central channel, but they're also in a place where some powerful organ meridians cross here. And so these points are very important. I use these all the time. I use these in every massage session at the end
Hmm.
because they're just very, very powerful. And again, the way that our body responds to our environment is that our energy system creates a match to the things that we are confronting. And right now, many of us are confronting anxiety and worry and fear. Sometimes we're a little stir crazy. But when we're in anxiety, when we're in fear, the energy tends to build up in one part of the system. So these points are great equalizers. So we're encouraging the energy to move into the parts of our energy system which help nourish us. And the nourishing can be very calming. When we're in a defensive state, that defensive chi, that defensive energy, can make our musculature tighten up. We can have pains in the head and the neck. And so this is a way of really equalizing that and to really restore calm. And again, we're just going to hold these points. And it doesn't look like it, but I'm pressing straight down here instead of choking myself.
I got so relaxed there for a moment. I have no idea what you just said, but like you said, fortunately, it's on video.
Yeah,
No, I'm only
these
half
are
kidding. I was paying attention to you, but even from the first points, actually, in my wrist, I noticed my body um, just take a few larger than normal inhales, exhales, which is typically a sign that the energy system, the nervous system is starting to shift. And so,
definitely, yeah,
I because I'm trying to stay focused with you and with this call, I wasn't able to be just settle into sensing all that might have been happening in my body, but I definitely had a few moments. Like sometimes when my body starts to relax when I'm receiving, work like this, I'll start twitching or just little shakes and things. I felt a little bit of that happen as well. So that just for everybody who doesn't or that's watching this is the first time I've gone through the routine. Jeffrey quickly showed me what points we'd be working on, but I didn't actually like sit there and hold them with him like I did just now. And I do feel an effect from that, particularly a calming effect. There was one point, I don't know which point it was or points, but where I started to feel more of a energizing, I guess, effect.
well, that's the paradoxical effect of this work, is that it both calms and energizes.
Mm-hmm.
So we're moving energy into balance, so
Right,
that our body has more access to everything.
right.
And yeah, sometimes people report that they, sort of get a little daydreamy during this process. They're really
Mm-hmm.
relaxed and they might, start to kind of have a more
Right.
uh, daydreamy kind of effect. So yeah,
Yeah. I felt that I could easily go into that state if I was not on the call with you trying to follow along and
definitely. Yeah.
ask questions and stuff. So, well, great. So I've got a question. Is this something, if somebody's going to use these points, should they do everything that you just described? Is that necessary? Or can you I know you said if you did one arm, you should do the other, but what about the other point? Should you try to do all these together? Is that the idea? Or can you do a little bit of this and that at different times?
You can do a little bit of this and that if you only have time. I have sat in meetings and held these points. I've been in a movie and held this point. I don't often, do stuff on the top of my head or in the back of my neck if I'm in public, just because it
Right,
looks weird.
right.
But sure, if you just have a few minutes,
Yeah.
grab one of these points from this routine and hold it for a while. But if you're home and you want to use more of them together, these few are a good little routine.
Yeah. Well, who's out in public these days?
Well, yeah, true.
Right,
But if you're on a Zoom call with your coworkers, you might not want to
right.
be doing, might not want to be doing that. But
Unless
but
you're
you can,
learning, unless you're teaching acupressure.
but when you're on a call, you can put you have to hold your points, and you can put
Right,
your hand in your lap, and they won't know. So
right, right. Great idea. Um, well, thanks, Jeffrey. And so this is another set of strategies that you guys that are participating in the 21-day New You Challenge, in that block of time that we're encouraging you to set aside for some calming mind body practices. This would be a great strategy to experiment with during that time frame, and other times throughout the day as well.
another little set of tools to put in your bag for when you need it. Yeah.
Great. All right. Well, thank
Thank you,
you,
Zach. This
Jeffrey.
has been great.
This has been enlightening. I'm going to start using these on my own. I'm excited to put them to use in my
Yeah.
own life.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right. Bye.
Bye bye.